Hi dear students, welcome to Bosco Campus Vision. This is Seema Dudley. Welcome to my another video on data analytics. In this video, we will compare the traditional relational database management system with the new database management system, that is the Hadoop or the MapReduce. We already know about relational database management system. RDBMS is an information management system which is based on data model. In RDBMS, tables are used for information storage, and each row of table represents a record, and the column represents an attribute of data. Organization of data and their manipulation processes are different in RDBMS from other databases. The purpose of RDBMS is to store, manage, and retrieve data as quickly and reliably as possible. And now we have Hadoop. It is an open source software framework used for storing data and running applications on a group of commodity hardware. It has large storage capacity and high processing power. It can manage multiple concurrent processes at the same time. It is used in predictive analytics, data mining, and machine learning. It can handle both structured and unstructured form of data. It is more flexible in storing, processing, and managing data than traditional RDBMS. And one more thing, unlike traditional systems, Hadoop enables multiple analytical processes on the same data at the same time. And it supports scalability, and it is very flexible. Now we can compare the traditional RDBMS with MapReduce by using some of the attributes like data size. In traditional RDBMS, the data size is gigabytes, and for MapReduce it is petabytes. And the accessing method, it is interactive and batch in traditional RDBMS, but in MapReduce there is only batch processing. Then updates, read and write many times in traditional RDBMS, and in MapReduce, write once, read many times. Then the structure, that is in traditional RDBMS, schema on writing, but in MapReduce it is schema on reading. Then integrity is very high in traditional RDBMS, but it is very low in MapReduce. Then scaling, in traditional RDBMS it is non-linear, but in MapReduce it is linear. However, there exists a vast difference between the traditional RDBMS and the MapReduce. There exist some relations too. The relational database, that is a traditional RDBMS, have started incorporating some of the ideas from Hadoop. And on the other direction, Hadoop systems like Hive are becoming more interactive and adding features like indexes and transactions that make them look more and more like traditional RDBMS. The next difference between the traditional RDBMS and the Hadoop system is we know that structured data means it is an organized data. That means it has a well-defined format. So this RDBMS works well in this format, that is with structured data. But it is a loser in semi-structured or unstructured data. But this Hadoop works well on structured or semi-structured data. Next one is the grid computing. Grid computing can be defined as a network of computers working together to perform a task that would rather be difficult for a single machine. All machines on that network under the same protocol to act like a virtual supercomputer. The task that they work on may include analyzing huge data sets or simulating situations which require high computing power. Computers on the network contribute resources like processing power and storage capacity to the network. Uh, there are some advantages as well as disadvantages for this grid computing. Grid computing follows a distributed computing architecture. Next is in grid computing, resources are managed on collaboration pattern. Then grid computing is less flexible, and grid computing needs to be set up first. That is, user need not to pay anything once setup is done. Then grid computing is low on accessibility as compared to cloud computing. Next type is a volunteer computing. Volunteer computing is an arrangement in which people provide computing resources to projects which uses the resources to be distributed computing and or storage. The volunteers are typically members of the general public who own internet connected personal computers, and it can be schools, organizations or business. Then projects are typically academic and do scientific research, but there are some exceptions also, and we'll be providing some exceptions. There are several aspects of the project and the volunteer relationships are worth noting. First one is volunteers are effectively anonymous. Although they may be required to register and supply their email address or other information, they are not linked to a real world entity. And the second one, because of their anonymity, volunteers are not accountable to projects. If a volunteer misbehaves in some way, the project cannot prosecute or discipline the volunteer. And the volunteers must trust project in several ways. First is the volunteer trusts the project to provide applications that do not damage their computer or invade their privacy. Next is the volunteer trust that the project is truthful about what work is being done by its applications and how the resulting intellectual property will be used. Next is the volunteer trusts the project to follow the proper security practices so that hackers cannot use the project as a vehicle for malicious activities. The volunteer computing project work by breaking the problem they are trying to solve into small units, which are sent to the computer around the world to be analyzed. When the analysis is completed, the results are sent back to the server and the client gets another unit. As a precaution to combat cheating, each work unit is sent to 3 different machines and needs at least 2 results to agree to be accepted. ഇതാണ് നമ്മുടെ volunteer computing method. Okay, volunteer computing method means the project will be divided into smaller work units and it will be given to different clients. That is, different clients and it will they will check that it will be it is at least sent to 3 different machines so that they will get at least 2 results, and 2 results കിട്ടിയാൽ മാത്രമേ അത് accept ചെയ്യുള്ളൂ. So here are the assignment questions. First question, compare other systems with relational database management system. Second one, differentiate between grid computing and volunteer computing. Complete the assignments and forward it to the email ID provided to you. Thank you.